is our second video interview during lockdown. Centre Stage is, as you know, a platform where we interview care experienced people who have a creative career or background and just get to know what their journey is and what they're doing now. And today we have Jarone Macklin Page, who is an author, director, actor, producer. The list goes on and on and on. So hello, Jarone.
Hi, Kim. How's it going?
All right, thank you. How are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad. So, I said that you so many different titles to get through. So I don't know where to start really. So should we start with just getting to know you? So maybe
Sure.
starting from, I don't know, so your experience of care, however much you want to share with us about that, and then we'll work our way forward to how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Let's go on a little bit of a chase through time on this one. We'll get out to present day. So basically, my story began in care when I was around about I'd be 13. So I was quite late, sort of coming into the care framework. Sorry, correction, 14, wasn't 13.
Okay.
And I always remember it was 14 purely because I remember I had 15-year-old videos at the time, because this was the time of videotape, not DVD. And I know, I feel really old when I say videotape. But yeah, I remember I was 14 because I had my 15-year-old videos taken away from me. But yeah, I came into care then. Life was very, very different. Like many people who are in the care sector now, and many have been in before, and unfortunately many who will go in the future. I came from a home which wasn't working for me. My parents weren't in a position to be able to look after me in the way that I needed. So unfortunately I had to go into care. And I say unfortunately because I think that is generally the way we think about it at the time, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, I still very much remember before I went into a children's home. I remember the night before I spoke to my nan and my cousin, and we all cried at the thought of me going into care because we thought we'd never see each other again. And from then to when I left, it's remarkable. I mean, I left there when I was 17, and at the time I left, I was supposed to leave at 16, but I didn't want to go, so I ended up actually staying. It's really ironic because it was the thing that I was more scared about than anything, and that says a lot considering the childhood that I came through. So to get to the end and actually have that family in place, where I just didn't want to part with them, was something absolutely truly amazing. And ironically, I still stay in touch with those people today.
Oh wow. Yeah, we never hear those stories, do we, really, about like the positive stories of people that have found a good family placement.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I think people need to hear more about, especially when you talk about children's homes, because you hear a lot about foster care out on the media when you're talking about positives. But unfortunately, around 80 to 90% of what we do see in the public eye is negatives around care. But I know myself, I came out of a children's home with a fantastic family who really supported me and gave me direction to my life. And the thing which made them incredible for me, and the thing which I think, if there's any kids out there that are listening to this right now, who are about to go into care and who are really apprehensive about a children's home, the thing which really helped me was thinking it's like a family, but it's a family that you can choose. Whereas with the foster care placement, for me, I didn't want that because I was walking into someone else's family. Whereas with the children's home, it wasn't a family. I didn't feel like I was interrupting. I didn't feel like I was inconvenient. I was just able to come in, find my feet, and eventually I wanted them to be family. And ironically, I say this, one of the guys who really gave me direction, who really believed in me when I was younger, I actually met up with him the other day to give him a copy of my book, which was absolutely incredible. You know, the guy, he was like, he was like a proper male role model to me, like a father figure. So much so to the point of where we actually had genuine discussions about him fostering me. and actually taking me on, because that's how much respect I had for this man, and you know, the bond that we had between us. And yeah, and
sometimes it does
years.
just take sometimes just one person to absolutely have faith in you to make everything change, right?
Well, I think that was the big change for me when I went into care that again, you don't really hear about. It was the first time in my life when someone had asked me the question, what do you want to be when you get older? You know, who do you want to be when you get older? There are not many kids that have gone into care. Well, I don't know any who I've met who were ever asked that question before they came into care. You know, they were always told that you're a bad kid, that you're going to end up in prison, that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And it would all be negative, negative, negative. So to find myself in the situation where I've gone into a children's home and I'm finally getting asked that question, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? It was incredible, absolutely amazing. And you know, I will never speak, I can never speak highly enough about my experience. I know it's not the same for everyone, unfortunately, but there are
No, but
some
I think
truly incredible times.
it's very important, I think, to have a very balanced view about these sort of things.
Yeah.
And I don't think that having a positive experience lessens like the impact of the trauma of people's negative experiences.
They're in care does not mean they are at a deficit in life. Their experiences when they were kids actually gives them an advantage. And I know that sounds like a bizarre thing to say, because I've met and I've heard some of the worst and most horrific stories you can ever imagine. But there is one thing that every single kids and young adult and adult has that has been through care that everyone else in society has not. They have survived something which is truly horrific, and yet they are still going. That is something which is truly special. And I don't think enough kids that go through that, I get a little bit emotional when I talk about it, but
I'm getting
I don't think
emotional listening to you.
I don't think enough kids realize that about themselves. They become, again, victims of their own narrative, and they don't realize the strength that it has taken them to get through to be who they are today. And I'm always trying to talk to those people to try and say, look, if you can find a way to harness that survival instinct, that power, that energy, that damn right defiance that you had to have to get through your childhood, and you can target that as something which is something you're passionate about, something you love, something which is going to transform your life, imagine how much easier that becomes. Like, from my perspective, I have tackled some of the hardest jobs to get into, like actor, writer, director. My last official credit, business development specialist. I've gone through a children's home. I'm severely dyslexic. Like, I kid you not, my copywriting speed was in the bottom 2% of society. I think my spelling's in the bottom 3%. Like, there is no reason that you cannot achieve. It is just targeting the energy in the right place and not becoming a victim to your own narrative and not letting
And I
that
suppose,
define who you are.
I mean, part of it is, I suppose, I guess from a sociology sort of point of view, is that sometimes it is more, it's like a perfect storm, isn't it? And if there's one ingredient missing, so maybe necessarily you have the drive to do something, but if you don't have the opportunity or you don't have somebody in your corner to just be like, and this is how we can do this, then it's either 10 times harder or impossible, which I think is one of the reasons actually that these sort of interviews are so important, because you see other people that have actually made their creative sort of aspirations happen. And even in an educational institution, you don't always get that sort of professional career advice, do you?
I think a lot of people, they're not honest about it either. I think I mean, there is two problems in the care sector right now. There is a lack of role models which are out there for people to identify with. I mean, we spoke earlier on about this. How many kids that are watching this, adults that are watching this, know that there is a care leaver currently playing football in the Premier League? Yeah, I didn't. And the other problem is people who get up and talk about success, they make it seem like it's so easy. You know, they get up and they're like, yeah, man, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, boom, just try it and it works. There is work that goes in. That is why that is why I talk about the survival skills.
So you said that you went into acting. So how did you find getting into training and education and things like that?
So for me, getting into training was a weird one because I had been expelled from school. I still to this day have no GCSEs. So if you have an F, you have a better GCSE than I have in anything, still to this day. But I had to do it the long way round. I had to take the long route. So I went into college to do courses where you didn't need qualifications. And I went and did a building craft operative course, which was bricklaying, woodworking, joinery, and painting and decorating.
Oh,
Things
wow.
which
Okay.
helpful skills, but not who I was. And luckily for me, there was one of the mentors there. I think her name was Debbie. She took me aside and she was like, "You're not this, are you? This isn't you." And I was like, "No, not really." And she actually went off and had a chat with the performing arts teacher, Nick Ball, and managed to get me an audition for that. And I went and I did it, and I did well, I guess. I was nervous at the time. I remember my first kind of group exercise where we all stood around. We had to make sounds. I think I ran out of the classroom because I was so embarrassed.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember that
So,
kind of anxiety.
yeah, like when I went to college, my confidence was shot because I felt like I was a bit of a fraud, to be completely honest. I remember walking into like the cafeteria, and I used to go bright red with embarrassment because I just felt so self-conscious. But doing the drama stuff, I think had I have done any other course, I wouldn't have ended up where I am today. But doing the drama kind of helped me to first off develop that mask to kind of function in society, and then second to really get comfortable with who I was. But yeah, the training element was difficult because I was having to follow instruction, and I was having to do as I was told a lot of the time. And I've always been the person that, for me, people had to prove their worth to me before I was ready to listen to
Yeah,
them.
I think
And
that's part of it. Sorry again, but I was
no, it's
just
fine.
like, it comes up all the time, and I can definitely relate to it. And I think as well from working in schools and things like that. So I did a lot of work in behavioural units, and a lot of people, young people that were in care or had special educational needs, and it always used to get to me when people just wrote somebody off as they challenge authority, they have issues with authority. And then are you actually thinking, especially with people that have grown up in the care system, like maybe not with everyone, but if you've been surrounded by adults who actually have used their authority in a negative way,
Yeah.
or have not played the role of an adult who can care for you, that can make responsible decisions, is that not logical then that a young person would not automatically obey authority? That they would question it, that they would want somebody to earn it.
Yeah.
And it always bothered me. There was that kind of lack of a connect there. That actually makes sense. That's really good logic from a
Yeah.
survival point of view.
Yeah, I think that's something which I always say that the reason why I don't, because to put it in context, I now have a degree. So I don't have GCSEs, but I have a degree. So thank you.
Yes.
But so I always say that it wasn't a case of I wasn't intelligent. You know, that same test where I got graded as like the bottom 5% and bottom 2%, I also got rated as the top 2% of intelligence for my age range. So it was never anything to do with a lack of intelligence. It was, I wasn't ready to be in education. Either I wasn't being challenged in the right way, I wasn't getting supported in the right way, or it just, my life was, hey, it was chaos. So I love joking about that one. But the realities of a degree in acting is it's a degree in actually presentations. It's a degree in being able to do really good research. It's a
Yes.
degree in creativity, marketing, sales, everything. The things that you can transition that degree into is incredible. It's like that. It's because of the skills I learned there that I built the career that I have on the other side.
So if a care experienced person came up to you now and said, this is something I really want to go into, but actually I'm surrounded by people that are putting pressure on me to like, and I suppose we both heard it, like we said earlier, is that maybe from a place of love and protectiveness? A lot of people will say, don't go into the arts, don't go into acting, into theatre, because
Yeah.
you might not get a consistent paycheck, and you know it is very, very hard work, and it's hard work up here as well. So what would you say to that care experienced person?
Honestly, I would say it's your own choice. To be completely candid, um, it's their lives, and it's not for me to tell them either way what to choose. I would say that it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done, because I've never felt more vulnerable than when I've been doing a scene study and I've had to recreate emotions from my past to get it across accurately. But it's never been so rewarding, because it was almost like cathartic. It's very the ability to be able to kind of vent all your demons on stage, and it's a place to put it. You know, I
Yeah.
used to love playing the bad guy. It was torment, because the bad guy was like the person from my past, and I didn't want to be the bad guy. But at the same time, I had a lot of anger, and I wanted to get that anger out. I wanted to get it out in a place where I was like, it was good to be scary, and it was good to be, you know, aggressive and violent. You know, it was a good place, because there isn't a place in society where you can do that unless you go and punch a punch bag, or you go down to the gym and you absolutely gun it. There is
Yeah.
no place in society where you can just shout and go, oh, I'm so angry at the world, you know?
Yeah,
But when you're acting, you
absolutely.
can.
That if there's anyone watching who needs any careers, professional advice about getting into the arts, that we do have an advocacy person with careers, or they could speak to me. And if we can't help you, we'll put you in contact with somebody else who can, because the best way of making a career choice is to have one that's actually informed. So we're happy to support care leavers that want to make those choices. Nice little plug there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I see that. Well worked in.
Thank you. And then I guess we need to talk about your career now, because considering that you studied acting,
Yeah.
and I know that opens many different doors career-wise, but it's actually something that I know you said you did it for a few years professionally, but it's not something that you're doing now, is it?
No, so life has changed a lot over the years, and you know, when I left, I did work as an actor full time, and I got to the point where I was on the edge. I was on the edge of kind of breaking into the industry, but unfortunately, I kind of I lost my nerve at the final bit, because money gets tight, and your landlord doesn't understand that
No.
I'm a month away from that big job, so you have to make calls. And I went into sort of like the sales world and all of that kind of stuff, something which, to be honest, I don't really have a love for. I'm good at doing it because I like talking to people. I like helping people to get the best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not who I am. But I've used that survival skill that I spoke about earlier to build myself up to the point where in my most recent job, which unfortunately, like many people watching this, I've just lost because of pandemic world at the moment. But within that job, I was taken on and I was working to build up a sales team as well as the marketing team. And I ended up going in to rebrand the entire business, which there were skills that I didn't have before I stepped into that. So I learned them and that was what I did. But the other thing you're probably alluding to, and the reason why I'm on here at the moment.
Or one of the many reasons.
Well, one of the many reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing was this little thing here. Hey,
Ooh.
we get a little plug of the book. I love the symbol on the back as well.
Oh,
by the way.
that is nice.
Especially
That's
designed
Celtic.
custom. It is Celtic.
Mm.
There you go. It's a uniquely designed Celtic symbol, which has a very special meaning within the book and the series. But basically, to summarize, I suppose, where I used to be doing acting and I left, and where I was doing all the sales stuff, I got to the point where I just wanted to create again. But unfortunately, I had a rather bad back injury that happened about 3-4 years ago. And this was an injury which debilitated me to the point of where I actually lost the proper use of my legs. So I was having to use 2 crutches to be able to walk around. And it's only within the last sort of 6 to 8 months where I've been able to kind of get off of my crutches. And that's after like 3.5 years of kind of rehabilitation work on that.
Oh my God, you really have been through quite a lot recently, haven't you?
Don't get me wrong, there are definitely times when I am like, give me a break, just a little bit. But, you find a way through. With my legs and my back, there are times when it is absolutely soul destroying, but I choose to look at the good stuff. And if I hadn't have damaged my back, I would have never wrote my book, because I desperately wanted to create. I desperately wanted to to continue sort of challenging people and the way they see the world, and trying to inspire people to look at the world in a different way. But when you're stuck at home, and some days actually being able to get out of bed is a challenge in itself, you have to think out of the box. And so for me, writing a book, someone who, like I said earlier, severely dyslexic, taking on the challenge of doing something like that was my Everest, to go off and achieve that. But I set the goal and I said, you know what, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to make sure it's amazing. I don't care that I struggle spelling and I don't really understand the difference between a full stop and a comma. I will find people that do understand those, and those people will help me. And that's very much what I've done. I went off. I used the time I was laid up to write my very first novel, which is quite remarkable, to be honest.
So is the book available now?
Yes, yeah. So the book's available on Amazon at the moment. So you can get it either free of charge on Kindle Unlimited. So it's on there if you're a subscriber. If you're not on there, you can get it for it's $2.99 on ebook format, and I believe it's $8.99 on paperback. Also, for those people out there that are dyslexic or have trouble reading, I have also reformatted an entirely separate version, which is in large font with extra large. I wanted to create something which felt honest, that felt raw, that felt accessible for people.
I was going to say, it sounds like you've really thought about how to make things accessible to people that have maybe had similar issues around reading and with dyslexia that you have, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And that was there was another thing within the story. The lead character John, he's actually gone through foster care himself, and
Ah,
he's had a bit of a turbulent time of it. But John is a success story of care, and what I wanted people to kind of experience was a voice that they don't hear from care very often, because everyone hears about the negative side of care. You know, everyone's always talking about the drugs, the prisons, and the leaving education. But what people don't talk about very much is about the potential success stories, about the challenges they've had to overcome, about the loving foster parents that effectively become a surrogate family to this person.
yeah.
And the biggest thing they don't talk about, which is the kind of the main theme that runs through my story, is that story of self-acceptance, about accepting who you are in order to become what you should be.
How would you sum up the genre of your book?
Um, difficultly would be the honest answer to that question. There are so many different aspects to it. So it has comedy. There are elements of dark fantasy, urban fantasy, science fiction, and there's a little bit of alternative reality kicking into it as well.
Mm.
Because what I've done is, because I like things to be real and I like to base things in the real world, I've actually gone back in time to the dawn of creation and I've rewritten it all. No one who's watching this was aware of that. I was very discreet about doing it, but if you read The Foundations Awakening, you will discover how the world has been changed forever. And it's happening all
Wow.
around you. No idea. There you go.
So you're quite ambitious as a writer then.
Well, yeah, I figure if you're going to write your first novel, rewrite history, all of it, right from the
Agree.
dawn of time. Why not? So to give a bit of foregrounding to this, this is at a point in the book where John has awakened on the planet of Kulvas, and he has had an encounter with a lady called Isla, who is a very, very powerful magic user, the most powerful magic user of the Kulva, the race which inhabits the planet. And Isla is telling John exactly the story of the universe and where he fits into it all. So
Okay.
enjoy, I hope.
Sure we will.
First live reading, here we go. Gesturing at the ground, Isla created another chair in which to sit, placing herself down and composing herself to begin. To answer that, first you must know from where you have come. I warn you, this tale is not short, so make sure you are sitting comfortably, Isla advised as she gestured towards the strangely patterned centre of the room, the patterned floor responding in kind, rising up to form a magical platform that emanated with a soft, glowing surface, a surface that flickered and hummed with excitement, in much the same way as the portal that once held me captive had done. Right, if we're all sitting comfortably, then I shall begin. At the beginning of time, there was nothing but light and dark. As Isla spoke these ancient words, the magical platform sprang to life, as if feeding upon the words of Isla's story, giving life to Isla's thoughts in the form of a projection, creating images of intricate beauty and unsettling menace in equal measure. These two energies were locked in an eternal dance that would stretch across the depths of time. However, a day came when the dark no longer wanted to dance with the light, and so the two were ripped apart by the desire of the dark to grow beyond its predefined confines. I believe in your world, this moment is referred to as the Big Bang, or the moment of creation, dependent on belief. When this happened, life was unleashed into the universe for the first time. The light and the dark found their new homes, and would feed and nurture new life with their energy. The dark chose to take dominion over the night sky, spreading itself far and wide in an attempt to overpower the light. But the light had other plans, for the light did not desire to rule the skies. Light instead wanted to become a cradle that would nurture life in the universe. So, the first thing the light did was to send parts of its energy out to create the stars. Stars that would provide light and heat to the little rocks that floated in the darkness, bringing stability to the chaos, giving life a chance. Yeah, why not? So the advice to my former self, my younger years, buckle up, it's going to be a tough ride. Be prepared to go through some muddy patches, but also be grateful because someday it all works out. But yeah, buckle up, it's going to be a dirty ride.
I think a lot of us would give ourselves the same advice, right?
Yeah. That's not about setting myself up for hardship. It's just about going, do you know what? My younger self was very full of optimism, and I wouldn't want to change that. I would just say, get ready to keep fighting. The fight doesn't stop. The fight never stops. So, and the last one was advice to care leavers.
Yes, it was.
I think that was right.
It's very vague in general, but yes.
Yeah, I know, right? So my advice to anyone who is in care or who has left care is, emotional. You're not on your own. That would be,
yeah. Yeah, I think that's the main one, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Because I think that's something which pretty much all of us we feel, which is why I'm getting quite but yeah, that would be my one bit of advice to everyone is you're not on your own. There is a world of people out there, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't have done half the stuff, if possibly any of the stuff that I've done, if it wasn't for the people who were there for me and had my back.